they're going to be blaming this on Nick Fuentes. All right, again, where is the gun? Where's the image of the gun with this kid and the gun? We're not seeing any images of this kid with a gun. We're not seeing him jump off the roof with the gun. Where's the damn gun? And if he was jumping off the roof with no gun, how did the gun end up in the woods in a bush wrapped in a towel with all these inscriptions on it? Okay. This kid is clearly not some radical trans activist. We're seeing that this is a family that loves their guns, Republican family, right? They're Trump supporting and Christian and all of the things that would not at all be this narrative that the mainstream is going with right now. But I think they're about to change it, and they're going to go to the Groypers and they're going to go to Nick Fuentes, because that's a conservative group that also has been pro-Trump for, somewhat kind of mixed on that, and Christian and loving guns and all of that. It's that group, and they're going to blame it on Nick Fuentes. And all of this leads to one place, which is where it led me yesterday. The messages that they're claiming are not exactly liberal messages. Let me see if I can. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me find the right thing before I play this for you. But here is New York Times. Here we go. What some of the bullet casing engravings in the Charlie Kirk shooting mean. So when these old people, like the governor of Utah and also all the old people on Fox News start saying, well, it says like, hey, fascist catch with the bullet. And look at all of these kind of clearly these are clearly woke liberal engravings. These people are old people. I'm an old person too, quite frankly, and I had to talk to younger people about this. But younger people who are in the gaming community are saying these are gamer references. This is for the gamers. And in fact, they're kind of used a lot in the Groyper circles. They're used in the Nick Fuentes Groyper circles. So once the mainstream news kind of catches on to this, they're going to go in that direction. So the New York Times, they say, here's what some of the bullet casings, engravings in the Charlie Kirk shooting mean. Many of the messages adopt the flippant, sarcastic chatter often found on online message boards and in-game chats. Sarcastic. So it has one of them had like an up arrow, right arrow, 3 down arrow symbols, as the governor described. This is a reference to a sequence of controller moves that unleashes bombs in the popular video game Helldivers 2. Another phrase of the cartridge's notices bulges, OWO, what's this? That is used for trolling with roots in online roleplay communities. Some of the other messages on the unfired cartridges appear more politically straightforward, including one that says, hey, fascist catch. Although, when I talked to even younger people, they said, well, that kind of sounds like a reference to one of the video games where they kind of have that same sort of, they don't say, hey, fascist catch, but they do have like a, hey, so-and-so catch. And they're throwing like a bomb or a grenade at them. So also another featured was Bella Ciao. That is also known in the gaming community. It's an Italian song adopted by anti-fascist resistance during World War II. It is still sung by the Italian left and in other countries to commemorate the fight against fascism. And it also appears in a recent Netflix series. And it's also used in these gaming communities. So it's this online, a lot of these phrases are coming from this online gaming community. We know that the kid is you could see he gamed, because you could see in the picture here, see if I could, the bottom left corner, let me remove this lower third for you. The bottom left corner, you could see him there playing video games in the gaming community. So it looks like he was definitely a gamer. Also, we asked Grok about this. It says, yes, Bella Ciao, the iconic Italian anti-fascist partisan song, has been ironically appropriated as a meme or joke within Groyper circles, the far-right online subculture associated with Nick Fuentes and his America First movement. Groypers, known for their ironic, edgy humor and trolling of mainstream conservatives like Charlie Kirk, whom they often label as fascist or insufficiently nationalist, have incorporated remixes of the song into their playlist and memes, particularly during the so-called Groyper Wars, where they targeted Kirk and Turning Point USA events. For example, it's, for instance, a popular Spotify playlist titled Groyper Wars, America First, features a Hugel remix of Bella Ciao. alongside other tracks used to mock leftists or perceived fake conservatives. This usage flips the song's original anti-fascist meaning into a satirical taunt, aligning with the group's penchant for post-ironic 4chan-style humor that blends gaming references, furry memes, and political edginess. It's not a core joke like their frog imagery, but it has become a recognizable, ironic signal in their online spaces, especially evident in recent discussions around the Charlie Kirk shooting, where the engraving was linked to the subculture. So this is a Groyper. These are Groyper references, Groyper subculture, and Tyler Robinson being a conservative Republican, donating to Trump, liking Trump, coming from this gun-toting Christian all-American family, was probably, they're going to say, in the Groyper circles, following Nick Fuentes. And I'm telling you, any second now when mainstream news picks up on this, right now they're still loving the whole, we got to go after the left, and the left is the problem. But pretty soon they're going to have to drop that when more about Tyler Robinson comes out. And instead they're going to go in the Groyper direction. And they're going to want to silence Groypers. They're going to say they're dangerous. They worked together as a team in order to do this. He wasn't a lone shooter. There was a whole group of them, a group of Groypers, and they went after Charlie Kirk because Nick Fuentes has been sowing a war between the Fuentes Groypers and the Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA people, and they're going to blame it on Nick Fuentes. But this is for a greater purpose. And who benefits? Who benefits from this? Let me just show you also this. This is...
Where's the condemnation?
Yeah, here we go.
From all the Christians. Where's Charlie Kirk on this? Charlie Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that.
Can I say real quick, before I'll play the rest of this, but this is from before Charlie Kirk was killed, and this kind of showcases a bit of the Groyper war that was going on between the Turning Point USA Charlie Kirk crowd versus the Groyper Nick Fuentes crowd. And if you're not familiar with this war, so Nick Fuentes and his Groyper crowd are conservatives. They're Christian, conservative, typically they're painted as a Christian, conservative, probably white male, gun-loving Republican, but they turned on Trump when it comes to foreign policy, his love for Israel. That's where they've really turned on him. And these wars that we've been doing on behalf of Israel, and Nick Fuentes is very much a huge critic of the U.S. foreign policy, doing whatever Israel wants. And Charlie Kirk's group was a similar age. Nick Fuentes, Charlie Kirk, really young, appealing to those, Gen Zers. And they're both within this conservative white male gun-toting Christian American Gen Z circle, but they have very different views when it comes to Israel. Charlie Kirk was real pro-Israel, and Nick Fuentes' crowd was against Israel. And Nick Fuentes' crowd was saying Israel's the culprit of a lot of problems, and the Charlie Kirk crowd was a bit more mainstream. And so there was a war really about a lot of that. And Nick Fuentes feeling like the Charlie Kirk crowd wasn't America first enough. And, I think a lot of people would have that criticism that if you're going to be pro-Israel at all, you're just simply not America first enough. And that is where this Groyper war, with the Turning Point crowd, that's what that fundamentally is about. And this is Nick kind of talking a bit more about that.
I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything, without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this. This guy goes around from campus to campus in the most artificial and phony and fake way, talking about, oh, God made me very blessed that I control $500 million. Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so rich and I'm so blessed. And oh, God's been so good to me. I'm such a Christian. Oh, the Lord gave me the Sabbath. I take Saturday off. You sit there and call yourself a Christian and then you make excuses for the genocide of 2 million people? Seriously? You stand there and purport to be an evangelist like Billy Graham? Oh, you're the latest Billy Graham? You're our generation's America's pastor? Why? Because you said the right words? Because you said, God bless, God bless, God bless, my friend. Oh, I rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus. And then you go around from campus to campus making excuses for a famine? You have a rabbi from Israel on your show to explain how Israel's not inflicting a famine on these people. That's fake news. That's not a genocide. Israel could kill them all if they wanted to. Seriously? It's disgusting. This is what our country is supporting. And by the way, if any other country was doing this, there would be sanctions. There would be international outcry. We would summon the ambassador from that country. These are subcontractors for Western publications. These are journalists that work for Reuters and the Associated Press being murdered by Israel. Western journalists who are protected under international law, working for, in some cases, American companies, being murdered by Israel in a conflict zone intentionally to cover up their war crimes. Where's America on this? Where's Trump on this one? Where's the Christians on this one? I don't know how anyone can continue to defend this in any way. They say Israel's not the enemy. What would a country have to do to be the enemy exactly? What would make a country the enemy? What made Saddam Hussein the enemy? What makes China or Russia the enemy? Has Vladimir Putin done anything like this? What makes Putin the enemy? What makes China the enemy? What makes them the enemy that does not make Israel also our adversary and actually a friend that we should continue to support?
Okay, so that gives you a little taste of what this war was about between the two. And when they dive a little bit deeper into Tyler Robinson's history, they're going to find that he was probably a groyper. And they're going to start blaming this on the groypers. And who does this benefit the most? Well, here's something kind of interesting. Now, I blamed this, and many still do point the finger at Israel. Now, why? Because Israel has the most to gain when it comes to Charlie Kirk's death. Now, people say, but no, why would Israel do that? Charlie Kirk was a fan of Israel. He was a supporter of Israel. In fact, just like what you heard Nick Fuentes say, that Charlie Kirk even observed the Sabbath on Saturday, which is actually when Jews observe the Sabbath. So Muslims, it's for them Fridays. Jews, it's Saturdays. Christians, it's Sundays. And Charlie Kirk, the Christian, was celebrating or observing the Sabbath on Saturday. Strange. That is true. That is when he did observe the Sabbath. So who benefits? So then people say, well, so Charlie Kirk was a big fan of Israel and Jews and all of this. And so there, he wouldn't have, why would they want to take out their biggest champion? Because Charlie Kirk was starting to question things, and he was starting to change his tune, and he had rejected money and trips from Israel, and they were starting to get really worried. And so they would have a reason to want to silence him. And more so now, who is slated to potentially take over for Charlie Kirk in his America tour at college campuses? So remember, the youth is who Israel is the most worried about losing, is the youth. And the youth is at college campuses. And Charlie Kirk was going around to college campuses. And even at these campuses recently, he'd been saying things like, yeah, Epstein looks like he was a Mossad asset, and we want the Epstein files. Well, now there's going to be somebody else going and doing these college campus tours, somebody not afraid for his life. Why would he be? And he certainly is going to be taking a very different tune when it comes to the Epstein files and to Israel and to questioning anything about Israel. And that person who's going to be taking over for Charlie Kirk is Ben Shapiro.
Now, it's still up to us. I saw a lot of rumors online today. I was made aware of this by my team that I canceled some sort of college tour. That's bullshit. I saw those rumors. They are false. I will be coming to college campuses, many of them this year. So will we all, I am sure, because we're Americans and we're not going to be deterred. Charlie's voice is not silent. We're going to pick up that bloodstained microphone where Charlie left it. And to those who would intimidate, who would seek to stop us, who would seek to end free discussion, who believe that they have ownership over public spaces and can violently threaten and kill people who speak freely, we are not going to stop. And I have two words: fuck you. We will not stop telling the truth. We will never stop telling the truth. We will never stop debating and discussing. We will never stop standing up for what America is and for what she should be. And we will never let Charlie Kirk's voice die. Goodbye to my friend, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing for your family and for your country and for all of us.
Okay, and so Ben has stated also on Twitter in other posts that, he does plan to continue the college tour, and which, look, I agree with him that we shouldn't allow this to silence us, and I agree with that sentiment in and of itself, but Ben Shapiro being the person to kind of pick up that blood-stained microphone where Charlie dropped it and pick up where he left off for it to be Ben, that means that there will be no criticism of Israel in these college tours. There will be no talking about the Epstein files. It will go in the direction that Israel wants. And, isn't that just a little bit too convenient? Also, something else really strange going on is that Netanyahu, the prime minister of a foreign country, don't you think he has a lot going on right now? I mean, I think he has a lot going on. But Netanyahu, the prime minister of a foreign country, is going on a full press circuit right now, basically denying that Israel had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's death. And that in and of itself is suspicious. To be going on this full-blown denial tour, like, it wasn't us. There's all these other people. It wasn't us. Like a little bit suspicious.
They go, they have no limits. When you hate Jews, when you hate the Jewish state, you're willing to say anything and promote all these absurd rumors. And by the way, they're willing to kill us all the time. I mean, that's what they're doing. And over the centuries, when Jews, especially in the Middle Ages, the horrific Middle Ages, the worst things were said about Jews you couldn't possibly believe. We were poisoning the wells. We were drinking the blood of Christian children. You name it. I mean, these things. That continued actually up to the Holocaust. The Nazis said the same thing. We're carrying vermin. We're spreading disease. And people believed it. And every time they believed it, this was a prelude to a greater and greater massacre, culminating with the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust. Well, since then, we've learned, when people spread these lies about us, prepare yourself for the assault.
Okay, and he goes on Fox News. So there he was. Previously, he was on Newsmax, and now he's going to be on, and then now he's on Fox News doing this full court tour.
This is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies. Whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
Now, the enemy that they'd want to be taking down when it comes to the narrative in the United States would absolutely be Nick Fuentes, his growing popularity, and the Groypers. That is who they would need to take down here in the U.S. because guys like Nick Fuentes are dangerous to them because they're persuading an entire population, an entire generation to be mistrustful of Israel. And so you'd want to go after Nick. You'd want to go after the Groypers. How do you do that? You haven't been able to silence him. You haven't been able to censor him, but you can if you say that he's responsible in some way for the death of somebody like Charlie Kirk. This is also something really suspicious. A mural was already unveiled in Israel on behalf of Charlie Kirk. Now, remember, over the last few weeks, Charlie Kirk had suddenly become a bit more questioning of Israel, a bit more skeptical of Israel. And yet, now that he's dead, before he could fully turn, they're able to just claim him as theirs. Say Charlie Kirk was a pro-Israel guy. Charlie Kirk he loved Israel. He was a great friend to Israel. Charlie Kirk was so wonderful for Israel. Right when Charlie Kirk was starting to question things, and right when Charlie Kirk was going on talking to Megyn Kelly and others about how, he just gave one criticism to Israel, and all the pro-Israel crowd went after him and started issuing death threats to him. And now he's dead, and now the pro-Israel crowd gets to say, no, he's ours. He's our guy. Like, we're going to keep him as ours. And now look, they've unveiled a mural in Israel. I mean, this is all just a little bit too, when you're guilty and you just overtalk, you make too many excuses. You're just too, it's a little bit too much. But here they are. They've unveiled, this is the spokesperson for Israel. He's been doing a lot of their press, and now they've unveiled a mural.
This right there behind me is a mural in honor of Charlie Kirk. This could be the first mural in his honor in the world, and it's here in Israel. This is how much he meant to us, because he was a champion of the Judeo-Christian alliance. He was a staunch friend of Israel, and we will never forget those that stand for the truth. So we honor his memory, and from here we vow to stand together for the truth, because we are under attack, not just in Israel, but globally. The truth is under attack. Let's stand together and let Charlie Kirk's legacy live on.
Okay, not suspicious at all. The Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal and Anya Parampil came out with this article about Charlie Kirk refusing Netanyahu funding and was frightened by pro-Israel forces before his death, a friend reveals. Charlie Kirk rejected an offer earlier this year from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to arrange a massive new infusion of Zionist money into his Turning Point USA organization, America's largest conservative youth association, according to a longtime friend of the slain commentator speaking on the condition of anonymity. The source told The Gray Zone that the late pro-Trump influencer believed Netanyahu was trying to cow him into silence as he began to publicly question Israel's overwhelming influence in Washington and demanded more space to criticize it. In the weeks leading up to his September 10th assassination, Kirk had come to loathe the Israeli leader, regarding him as a bully, the source said. Kirk was disgusted by what he witnessed inside the Trump administration, where Netanyahu sought to personally dictate the president's personnel decisions and weaponized Israeli assets like billionaire donor Miriam Adelson to keep the White House firmly under its thumb. According to Kirk's friend, who also enjoyed access to President Donald Trump and his inner circle, Kirk strongly warned Trump last June against bombing Iran on Israel's behalf. Charlie was the only person who did that, they said, recalling how Trump barked at him in response and angrily shut down the conversation. The source believes the incident confirmed in Kirk's mind that the president of the United States had fallen under control of a malign foreign power and was leading his own country into a series of disastrous conflicts. By the following month, Kirk had become the target of a sustained private campaign of intimidation and free-floating fury by wealthy and powerful allies of Netanyahu, figures he described in an interview as Jewish leaders and stakeholders. He was afraid of them, the source emphasized. Here's Tucker Carlson talking about Charlie Kirk going to the president personally and saying, do not go to war with Iran.
He was one of the only people, I mean, truly one of the only people to go to the president whom he loved. He loved Donald Trump, like personally as well. And I think the president really loved him in a real way. But he was one of the only people to go to the Oval Office and say, sir, I totally understand and think Iran's really bad, but a war with Iran is not, you know, is something that could really hurt our country. I mean, boy, that was an unpopular position. He didn't need to express it. Oh, of course. And he did it again. He didn't have some weird agenda. He wasn't mad at anybody. He was for his country and he was for doing the right and wise and difficult thing. And he said that. He went to the Oval Office to say that. He took massive abuse from his own donors, which is also something that you don't see people. And he loved his donors. It wasn't a hostile thing, but they had a different view. A lot of them, not all, but a lot. And they expressed it to him in a very intense way. I know because he showed me. And he said, look, I understand your perspective. This is my perspective. And we're going to do what we think is the right thing, the wise thing.
In that way, too, he was the voice of young people. I mean, there are no young people in the country anymore supporting this war and wanting Israel to continue its bombing campaign. That's just the truth. Look at the polls. And he was in touch with them. And even where his own opinion may have differed from their opinion, he felt like he owed it to them to bring their message to the sitting president of the United States. I mean, it was, that's what's been snuffed out.
Well, as he has been, unfortunately.
Yeah. So there it is. Look, we could all, they're going to just case close this, right? They're going to say, it was this kid. He was a lone gunman. We don't need to hear from him. They're going to give him the death penalty in Utah. He's going to die by firing squad or by lethal injection. Utah does one of two. They do firing squad. You can opt for it if you want. It's because of there's like a religious sentiment to it. And that's why they still have the option of the firing squad. But otherwise, they do lethal injection. They're saying that this is a death penalty case. They're going to just kill the kid and or he's going to get killed soon in jail, right? And like as if all the people in jail are just pro Charlie Kirk or something. And but you have to ask the question why? Why? First of all, why would this kid want to kill Charlie Kirk? And where's the gun in all of the images and the video of the kid? That's just like a basic question to start there. And then why the Discord messages with Discord coming out saying that whoever posted those doesn't belong to Tyler Robinson. That was somebody else who gave the location and the description of a gun in a drop-off point. And now you've got Israel doing a full press circuit trying to run cover, saying it wasn't us. And Ben Shapiro is going to be conveniently taking over for Charlie Kirk with his ultra pro-Israel stance. Ben Shapiro is 1,000% Israel first. And now he's going to be taking over for Charlie Kirk to make sure that the youth of America stays on the side of Israel. And they're conveniently going to blame the Groypers. They're going to go after Nick Fuentes to try to silence him, to try to silence the movement of conservative youth that are against Israel. They're going to do everything they can to silence that group. The only benefit and the only group that could have pulled this off. And by the way, the one group that is famous for neck shots, the IDF actually has had to deny. They've literally had to come out denying a policy of neck shots. I mean, what other military in the world with snipers has had to come out and deny they have a policy of neck shots? That's the IDF. The IDF has had to, there's numerous articles on this. Just go ahead and Google it, IDF and neck shots. And you're going to see a slew of articles where the IDF is denying having a policy of neck shots. And here we've got a neck shot. I mean, they're famous for these. And we're supposed to believe that it's this 22-year-old who was able to take a shot like a pro without a gun in any of the images that we've seen. We have not seen him with a gun. And Discord messages saying the location of that. None of this is adding up. And the only beneficiary to this is Israel. They're the only beneficiary. Why would anybody else want to off Charlie Kirk? Why would another Republican, a conservative, why would, this conservative kid want to do that? They'll just, because the Groypers are dangerous. Nick Fuentes is dangerous. His ideology is dangerous. We got to take him down. We got to take him and his people down because they cause death, actual death. And that is what they're going to say. So that is, to me, the road still leads to the same place. Just because they caught the kid today, and they're blaming it on him, none of this is adding up to me. His poor father turning him in. I mean, we haven't heard from the dad. We haven't heard from Tyler. We haven't heard anything. But perhaps the kid said, yeah, Dad, I was on the roof and yeah, I was part of something, but I didn't shoot him or maybe, I don't know. And the dad said, okay, then we got to turn you in because then you got to clear your name. Like whatever. We're not hearing anything. We don't know. We don't know anything. All we know is the dad turned his son in. We don't know the circumstances around that or what conversation led up to that or what it was. We know nothing. And we're not going to know anything because they're going to stop the investigation right here. And you've got Trump going out there blaming the left still. Pretty soon they're going to blame the Groypers because that is in the best interest of Israel. They need to silence the critics online, and especially one rising as fast as Nick Fuentes is. So, I don't know, guys. On this, all roads still lead to this not being where all roads are leading still, in my opinion, to Israel on this. They have the most to gain. You always have to look at motive. They have the most motive for wanting to take out Charlie Kirk before he turned on them too much. Keep him on, off him while he's still, you could kind of claim he was on your side. While the rest of us say, but we already know he was starting to question you. And he wanted to be able to question you. And he was afraid of you. And now he's dead. So explain yourself. And Netanyahu's out there actually doing just that, trying to exonerate himself from this. Now, it might not be the state of Israel that did it. There's a possibility, like what was brought up is what Gray Zone and their source said, which is all the billionaire backers who have a very radical viewpoint on behalf of Israel. And those billionaire backers have resources and people, and one of them could have hired the hit on Charlie. And who's to say the bullet actually came from the roof? You know, the kid was on the roof, but we don't know. The shooter could have been in a window somewhere or somewhere else. And they just plotted the kid up there, you know, in a Discord chat, like got him to go and do something. And now he's the fall guy. He's the patsy. I mean, it's classic. I'm not believing this kid was the one who actually did it. I'm just not there yet. I'm not believing it. I still have my suspicions of Israel. I know then people are going to be, it's just all of you, you guys are so deranged. That's all you guys can think of is Israel did it, Israel did it. But, you know, they kill people all the time. So it's not like it's outside of the realm of possibility when Charlie Kirk, unfortunately, if he was a victim of Israel, was just one of dozens that day alone. One of dozens that day. So, yeah, you know, it's not outside of the realm of possibility to blame Israel. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do because that's what it looks like. I mean, that's where my suspicion is leading me, and that is where suspicion is leading many others as well. They've got some explaining to do, but it looks like Netanyahu's out there actually trying to do that. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.